Every time you speak, your team is making a decision. Is this someone I can trust or not? Leading my own development teams for a decade and later training and mentoring more than 2,000 team leads in tech taught me this. Leadership lives or dies by your communication. If you can't communicate like a leader, you will be never trusted like one. So let me show you 4 behaviors that are quietly killing your leadership presence and exactly what to do instead. So you can communicate better, you can lead better, and also you can earn more. Number 1, body language. If there is no match between your body language and your words, it destroys trust. You may appear nervous and uncertain. You may have already heard that urban legend that body language is the most important part of communication and that it expresses the majority of the message, which is not entirely true. It really depends on the context. If you want to communicate information, like explaining a strategy or giving instructions, words are the most important, and body language is just a supportive. In that case, you need to focus on words and not so much on the body. But if you want to communicate emotions, then nonverbal signals, such as body language and tone, are the leading factors, with words being just a supportive. If you are in an argument or you're giving a motivational speech, even the simplest words could have a huge impact because they are fueled with energy and emotion. And when speaking with your team, I suggest you use a grounded posture, intentional movement, and pause often. Be slow, controlled, and precise. Authority is felt when a person speaks as if they are expected to be heard, not hoping to be heard. Of course, you don't need to become a robot or theater actor where every move is meticulously calculated. Usually it means to slow down a little bit and not forget to breathe. It becomes easier with practice, so I trust you will get there. If you are improving intentionally, of course. Number 2, over explaining. You can have the best ideas, you can be the smartest person in the room, but if you cannot explain them correctly, it doesn't matter. You see, over-explaining often comes from insecurity, stress, or lack of clarity. The effect is brutal. You lose your audience. You seem unsure and unconfident. I remember at the beginning of my leadership career, I led meetings with much more experienced engineers, developers, and others who were more knowledgeable than I was because, well, I was not a technical person and I'm still not. And of course, in the beginning, I lacked that self-confidence. So I started repeating myself, over-explaining every decision, every idea, especially when trying something new, like a new sprint format or suggesting having retrospectives every 2 weeks instead of once a month. I remember speaking for the longest time just to be accepted and trusted as a new team lead. And at that point, team already lost their focus and most likely, some part of respect. So I quickly discovered that I don't want to go that route. Now, how to fix it? Speak concisely. Say less, but with more intent. Great leaders simplify and speak with clarity, not volume. The most intelligent people in the room rarely say the most, but every word they say actually lands. That's why preparation is the key. The more you prepare for the meeting, the less over-explaining you need because you have already run through the different scenarios. And if you are understanding the topic well enough, you will be able to identify the most important aspects of it and focus on impact and not on over-explaining everyone with like tsunami of words. Number 3, hard conversations. Some conversations are harder than others. And actually, the topic is not the main factor that defines a hard conversation. What's happening beneath does. You can usually identify a hard conversation by 3 main factors. Emotions. You feel the tension building, the faster or slower speaking. You are observing kind of shift that is happening inside. Then different opinions. Well, that's pretty obvious. You do have like a different takes on the same topic. And high stakes. You notice that the topic is really, really important. You see, if you are missing any of those 3 factors, you are in the position to handle the conversation yourself pretty easily. Imagine if you are discussing basketball or football and you are supporting different teams. Now, your opinions may be different. Emotions arise because, well, it is interesting. You both hopefully, understand in the end of the day that it's just a game. So the stakes are not that high. And if people would put so much effort and emotion into really important things, then the world probably will be a better place. However, this conversation could be navigated naturally. Like the same goes with you being very emotional. The stakes are high, but you agree on the topic. So, the next step is just to translate that emotion into mutual action. So look at the signals. The behavior changes slightly. The other person becomes more defensive, quieter, or even more aggressive. Maybe tone changes. The conversation starts to feel less like an exchange and more like something that could go wrong, and usually does. And people usually tend to avoid such conversations because they are, well, hard, they are uncomfortable, and they are dangerous. But avoidance signals weakness and slowly diminishes respect. People may not say anything during the conversation, but they take note and stop trusting you. Replace avoidance with calm confrontation. Say what others want with composure. Make a hard split between facts and stories and interpretations. Share your perspective. Explore different positions. Slow down once again, focus on mutual respect and mutual goals, apologize if needed, and remind yourself them why you're here and what is truly important. And I would really recommend you reading this book. And remember that your success as a manager could be determined by the number of hard conversations you can have. Number 4, being inconsistent. If your behavior changes every day based on your mood, you are not a professional. Mood-based leadership is unsafe because it is unpredictable. Interesting fact, for the longest period of time, neuroscientists thought that the main goal of our mind and brain is to kind of understand what is happening around us and to make decisions based on what is happening right here, right now. The brain just reacts to the present moment. I know it's oversimplifying, of course, the complex processes that are happening in between our ears, but in the last couple of decades, researchers have actually noticed that our brain main function is not only to understand what is happening around, but also to predict what will happen next. And actually, the brain doesn't just react to the present, it continuously predicts and updates based on what happened. That's why when we are going into building, our brain unconsciously, automatically tries to guess what will happen if we turn that corner, what will happen if we are opening the door to that particular room. So understanding the neurological aspect of our brain helps us as leaders to understand our people much better. Being predictable in your communication, being predictable in your decision making, being predictable in the way you're showing up every day actually creates like a safe environment because your team members' brains expect you to perform in a specific manner, like with no surprises. Understanding the way your brain works actually helps you to lead better because then you're able to create a safe environment for your team, once again, intentionally. And once a safe environment in your team is established, then you are able to lead your team, to challenge them, to provide feedback, to actually motivate better because they don't need to think about their safety. They know they can trust you. They know that you create a safe environment so they can focus on performance rather than reestablishing lost safety. The predictability comes with things such as team routines, processes, ways of working, also with your emotional regulation. How can you lead with consistency and stability? Now, in my leadership career, I had a lot of like shit hits the fan moments, like production goes down during peak usage, or one of the core senior developers burns out, or a competitor wins an important client tender and that we were really counting on. But these are battle stories for the next time. What happened to me most is actually being able to control the space between impulse and reaction. How it goes. When something triggers me, like a disagreement, pressure, or missed deadline, I do this. I pause for 3 to 5 seconds, breathe slowly once or twice, name what I feel in my head, like I'm frustrated, or I'm threatened, or I'm anxious. Labeling emotions reduces their intensity, and this is actually proven by neuroscience. And then I remind myself of the main goal. If I really wanted to hit that goal, how I would react. Maybe there is my ego in the way and I need to admit my mistake right here, right now, just to move faster. Or I need to draw a clear boundaries, even though that I feel doubt or worry. Being predictable may not sound sexy, but it is really effective for building trust and safety, which ultimately leads to more creativity, better performance, stronger relationships in the team. So these are 4 behaviors to master if you want to communicate more clearly than 99% of the people. Be thoughtful about your body language, avoid over-explaining, lean towards hard conversations, and take care of your emotional regulation, being predictable. Leadership presence isn't about being the loudest or the most charismatic. It's about removing weak behaviors that kill credibility. Authority and trust comes from clarity, confidence, and composure. And of course, some practice. Your self-confidence will grow with each interaction if you learn from it. And if you want to practice to be aimed in the right direction, if you want more clarity and certainty in your leadership journey, I suggest you schedule your leadership strategy consultation now with the link below. You will get a direct, no BS guidance, practical frameworks, and clear path forward based on my 10 years of experience leading dozen tech teams and working with more than 2,000 team leads across tech and high growth environments. Or if you want to dive deeper into how to learn any leadership skill, not only communication one, so fast that it feels illegal, you should check out this video next. See you on the other side.